Alright, well, welcome to the T.A.C. show, episode 13, with our first in-person guest from today, it's J.T Stone.
13, unlucky number, but I'm still excited, and I'm happy to be your first in-person guest.
So, you're a podcast guy, right? How long have you been doing podcasts for?
So, let's see, that's a good question. I've wanted to do it for a while now. I say that, what got me into podcasts was back in 8th grade when I was a summer camp counselor. We would always listen to Z95.5 on the radio, and there's this one host, Tori V, whose show I loved. And ever since I listened to her show, I just wanted to be on the radio. That was all I wanted to do. And so, luckily, at Ithaca Fest a couple years ago, WRFI Community Radio had a booth on the Commons, and I got connected with them. What year was it? I think now it was like four-ish years ago. So that's when I officially connected with them, and my show has been running for about 4 years now.
Oh boy, that's really successful. Was this host that inspired you? Was she from around here, or was she sort of like Howard Stern famous, like out of Ithaca?
Oh, okay. She was from Houston, actually. I think she went to TC3, so she's been a local for a couple years now. Yeah.
Have you ever done any collaborations with her? You ever talked to her?
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I actually applied to work at Z95.5 first, but they didn't accept me, unfortunately. I think I was too young. So I'm kind of building up more radio experience with WRFI, and then hopefully from there, I can see about working for the other stations. And I would absolutely love that. Tori V, if you're watching, I love you.
This camp, was it a special camp, or was it a summer camp, or was it a activity film camp? What type of camp was it?
Yeah, so I was a junior counselor at Stewart Park Day Camp, at Stewart Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we remember my camp, we just had a whole bunch of young adults. Like, was it hard to get the job and stuff?
Oh, so that job wasn't that hard to get, luckily. I was working through Youth Employment Services, the YES program, in the Ithaca Youth Bureau. So they really helped guide me, mentor me, and through that program I was hired at this job, actually. So no, that was pretty easy.
Oh boy, that's interesting. Did you ever get into counseling stuff for a while? You only did it for a year or two?
Oh, so I actually started out as a teacher's aide. That was my first ever job. I think in the summer of 2016, I got a job at BJM Elementary School there in Ithaca. I loved it, but after that, I wanted to try working with other, kids in another type of environment. Because school's a lot of academics and learning, and I just thought a camp job would be a little bit more fun because they'd be happy to see me. And I tried that, and I actually stuck with that for like 3 years, and it was an awesome experience. And what was also cool is I went to Stewart Park as a camper there, so it was cool to kind of see both sides of it, from the camper's perspective and the counselors, and I loved it.
Yeah, there was a playground next to it, right? So it was, that seems like a fun job. It's only 5 to 6 hours, right?
Let's see, 9 to 3, I think were the times, or 8 to 3 or something.
That was cool. Did you ever have, you mostly just dealt with little kids, right? So no camp pranks, nothing like that?
Well, I wouldn't say no camp pranks. We definitely had some rascals. So the ages ranged from, I think, 6 to 13 and 14, because the way they do things is there's 10 groups separated by age. So group 1's the youngest group, and group 10 are the older kids. And I was mostly with the younger kids, group 1 or 2.
I remember when I went to the YMCA, they did something like that. But when I was at Lansing, they just they have one general group. But then again, it's mostly adults and stuff. I remember it was mostly college students and stuff when I did it. Well, when I went there as a little kid.
Oh, did you enjoy that?
It was fun. I caused some trouble, but it was little kid trouble, so it wasn't that big. So it was fun. We had talent shows. Our current gym teacher and stuff actually was a counselor there, 8-9 years ago, and it was really interesting because now he's a coach, and it's just sort of weird now that he's like a 30-year-old guy, like a man and stuff now, and he replaced the Squirtle guy who graduated college, who had this special talking squirrel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it was a fun camp.
Well, actually, it's funny. Speaking of animals in camp, one thing that I love about Stewart Park is at the end of every session they have musical performances, which is basically just lip syncing to fun choreography. And I will never forget this one year, one of my favorite years there. Our group did the song "What Does the Fox Say," and we were each a different animal, and I got to be the fox. So I was like my first big break, if you will, at Stewart Park, and I just was the star of that. And I had a whole fox attire, so that will always stick out.
They record that, or they do it?
Oh, I'm sure it's recorded
on the web anywhere.
We've looked for it. My parents weren't able to record it that day. I'm sure a recording of it exists, but I don't know. If you find it, let me know.
Yeah, I remember when Ylvis did the music video with it, that was pretty sure it was only the fox that was dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at this friend's birthday party. It was at a Pizza Hut, and they were playing this. He was just playing "What Does the Fox Say" over I think it was 2014, 2015. It really blew up and stuff. Yeah.
It's funny because my dad hates that song.
I think like a whole bunch of maybe musically deep people would.
Yeah.
Especially I don't know if because I think it's from Sweden, because like Sweden's pioneered a lot of good music over the past 20 years. Maybe that's why more people were like tougher on it than say if it was Europop or American. But I'm not fully sure.
Makes sense. Maybe. But yeah, no, I like that song.
Yeah. So. Did you always focus your podcast on mental health? How did you start out? Did you have any central theme at first?
So actually, that's an awesome question. It did not start out as a mental health podcast. Originally, the idea was more so a political podcast. Mm-hmm. The kind of creation of the show started when I was sleeping over with one of my best friends, Sean. We shared a similar goal in life to bring people together. In this very polarizing political climate, we came together and we're like, we want to create a show, a platform for people to come together and have an open dialogue about issues they care about. And we want to center around youth because we feel that, generally speaking, in society, youth are underrepresented, especially in politics and policy. So the first episode was actually a debate on abortion, kind of just going right into the fire. But it did start out as a political podcast, wanting to bring kind of the two sides together. So I did, lots of research on that topic. I came up with questions and I moderated. The debate itself was around an hour and a half actually, but I had to cut it down to be an hour because that was what my time slot was. So that was the first episode. And the second episode, right afterwards, was a gun control debate with statistics and laws flying all over the place. But after that, we decided to kind of make the show more inclusive to all youth, not just political savvy youth. Because from there, I wanted it to be a show to give youth a voice, and about any issues they care about. So the third episode was actually not a debate, but a discussion that I moderated with two self-proclaimed theater nerds and two athletes. Where they came together and broke down stigmas surrounding their respective extracurriculars. And I thought that was a very insightful discussion, breaking down all these stigmas and why they were really, passionate about these topics. And definitely more lighthearted than the political things, which was very refreshing. The mental health episodes, though, again, just thinking about it in terms of what are youth passionate about? What do people have stories relating to? What stigmas do they want to break down? What do young people care about? And a lot of my friends, a lot of them have struggled with mental illness, mental health issues, and they knew that I had this awesome platform. So I was like, why not use my platform to help elevate their stories and their voices to just help educate people?
No, you feel like anything on your podcast could really be considered taboo, or do you have any sense of that at all? Or
that's a good question. I feel like yeah, part of it is saying stuff that I think, or that I should say, youth feel like has to be said. Things that are underrepresented. I mean, frankly, even giving youth, their own show. I mean, the show is called Youth Voices. I think even that in its own right is pretty unique and remarkable. I mean, I had one student who opened up about actually attempting suicide on my show because he wanted to share his full story. So I would say that parts of my show have definitely been intense, and I do give trigger warnings throughout those episodes. But I'll guarantee that at least the third episode isn't as intense. But I do like my show. I don't like to sugarcoat things. I like to be raw and authentic.
Oh, so you'd be willing to talk about like hot topics like racism or border crisis or politics or anything like that?
So we haven't discussed those issues in particular. It's mostly on the political side. It's just been abortion and gun control. I've been debating if I would do any other political topics. But I'm starting college in like 7 days, the end of next week. So I just won't have time to make any more episodes, unfortunately. I think I am going to cap it off at 5 episodes. But in the future, who knows, maybe I'll continue the show and do another political episode.
Wait, so your show only has 5 episodes? But it's been made for 3 years?
So let me tell you, it might not sound that impressive, but these episodes take forever to produce. Because sort of my process from start to finish is, coming up with the topic and the students. And then once I have the students who want to come on the show, it's about scheduling the time that works for all of us. And usually the episode's like 3 people, me and 2 people that I interview. Picking a day that works for all of us and meeting at their studio in person. With COVID, we had to do things a little bit differently, where I just did a phone interview. Let's see, but in terms of producing it, I do fact checking. I don't let people speak unfilteredly. I make sure that people, are spouting truth at least and making sense. Because we're a credible news source.
You don't want a crazy cat lady from The Simpsons coming on your show. Yeah, you don't want just somebody spouting misinformation.
Exactly. So I'll give you one example. The gun control episode. Gun control is I think a more complicated topic, and especially with laws and statistics flying all over the place. And that episode was actually close to a 2-hour-long discussion. But my time frame is only 1 hour, so I really had to chop it down.
You could just make it into 2 episodes. You could put gun control part 1, gun control part 2.
I was thinking about that, but after listening to it over again, a lot of it was sort of repetitive, so I'm like, it would probably be more, it would be better just to cut it down into 1, and I'm not sure people would want to listen to 2 hours of gun control anyway, maybe some people, fact checking was a big factor, and also just editing, dead air and really condensing it. So I would say that episode took around 3 months just to produce. The other thing was I could only come in on Wednesdays to produce. I couldn't take it home with me. I think I used my time wisely, because even though it took a while, the episodes are out now, available on the Ithaca Voice website and WRFI's website. So even though they're not airing regularly on the air anymore, they're still widely available.
Oh, so are they on YouTube or?
They're not on YouTube, no, because it's just audio, so I don't think WRFI has a YouTube channel.
You could just like put a picture of yourself, or do you have any screenshots from your debate or whatever, or beforehand?
I
just replace it with that, yeah.
I could do that. Maybe I will actually. I don't think I can get it. I don't think I get insurance trouble doing that.
And then you could just like use the content, like during your college hiatus, call it the lost episodes.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, jeez. Well, I'm proud of the readership. I'm able to see the number of views, that everything gets. As well as it airing on WRFI, I have connections to the Ithaca Voice, which is an online-only news site for Ithaca, New York. And I've actually been a contributing writer for them for a couple years, actually since my sophomore year of high school. And what's cool is I told my managing editor about my show, and she thought it was an awesome resource, and it was actually her idea for the Ithaca Voice to publish the episodes as well, just to expand the reach of the youth voices I highlight. And each of those articles got around 3,000 views, so I definitely know that my show has pretty good readership and viewership, I should say.
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful for that.
Oh boy, you have like any special strategies and stuff for your promotion, or you follow the algorithm? Or?
Get contacts with the Ithaca Voice. That's what I would say.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, in terms of algorithm, I don't really have control over that. Basically, along with producing the piece, I'll actually write the accompanying article, explaining what it is, who I'm interviewing, but the managing editor and the whole team kind of take care of the rest and actually publish it.
Oh. So you plan to retire all this stuff once you go on college, or are you going to continue anything?
That's a good question. I would like to continue my radio work at the SUNY Albany radio station. They have a student-led radio show, radio station. So I actually would like to pitch my idea of youth voices to their people and maybe see if I can do a continuation at the U Albany radio station. Maybe I could even call it Youth Voices. But my show, at least on WR5, I will be taking a hiatus from. But that does not mean that I will, totally retire from radio.
Are you gonna make like a special announcement to fans, or are you just gonna leave it?
When I think of my fans, it's really just, I think, my friends and people that follow me on social media. I don't really have, there is a Mixcloud page for Youth Voices.
There's no real substantiated fan base.
Well, not that I know of. I don't know. Maybe someone's created like a J.T Stone fan page or something that I haven't seen.
Yeah. Maybe some underground community or stand up.
I love that, actually. People that are watching this, if so, please comment. Give me the link. I need to know that. No, but people. Mostly it's people that I directly know who will send me emails or see me on the street complimenting me for that work. But hey. We'll just see what happens.
You learned anything from doing years of radio stuff, or doing a few years of it? Anything that you struggled with at first that you're now pretty good at now?
It's definitely helped with my interviewing skills. I've always been a very social person. I've always considered myself to be an extrovert. But this show has really given me a professional setting and platform to really be there for my community, really to lift these voices, because as I said, I've always wanted to be on the radio. And at first I did just want to be a DJ, but then I was like, if I have this awesome platform, why not use it as a resource for my community? Why not use it as an educational tool, lifting, these people? And in a way, it does incorporate my passion for journalism. In college, I want to pursue journalism and communications, maybe in the future write for one of the larger newspapers. So, I've always been interested in interviewing. And that's why I think what you're doing with your YouTube channel is so awesome. It's something we have in common. It's really strengthened, I think, my interviewing skills, my researching skills. Obviously, for the political conversations, I have to research all these things and ask kind of the tougher questions. And it's also just taught me how to edit audio pieces, using the software called Hindenburg, which is what WR5 uses. So it's taught me a lot of new skills that I don't think I would have been taught otherwise.
Oh. So you grew up around many people with mental illness and stuff, and then that inspired you to talk about it and stuff?
Yeah, well, a lot of my friends have suffered from, depression, anxiety, a lot of these really big issues. And in a way, I was sort of coming at mental health or mental illness from sort of an outsider's perspective. I've been fortunate not to have experienced severe mental illness in my life. Yeah. So it really, those episodes came from me wanting to help my friends tell their stories.
I've struggled with really bad anxiety all my life. I just dwell and worry on things, and sometimes they can just get out of control and just make me feel like a bunch of bad days. And sometimes, sometimes I wonder if hope I feel happiness and be able to get all these worries and frustration and just this crazy rabbit hole. Yeah, and so I guess I know how at least at least some of your guests feel and stuff in some way, since they have anxiety struggles, right?
Yeah, I mean, actually, the first person that I interviewed for the first mental health episode, she opened up about her experience with generalized anxiety disorder. Literally, she couldn't go to school because of how awful her anxiety was, and she was hospitalized. So I definitely know like the ranges of these types of illnesses and how unique it is for everyone. But I know that anxiety is lots of people.
It can get really it can get bad sometimes. You can just feel like you just like can't do much. Yeah, you feel like there's much of a stigma these days with this type of stuff. Like, have you ever dealt with any haters or any angry people about this type of stuff?
Well, it's interesting because one person actually did email me after the mental health episodes were published in the Ithaca Voice, and he was actually arguing to me that there is no mental health or mental illness stigma, and I don't think I agree with that, because the fact that there are still people who don't feel like they can open up about mental illness and even describing what it is they're going through. I mean, the fact that so many people feel like they can't open up, to me that signals that they're also
there's some sort of a problem. Even if it's like not around here, there's obviously like there's other parts of the world where there's struggles and stuff, and it's not fully valued.
Yeah, and I feel like mental health and mental illness should be taught at a younger age. I took a gap year this past year to work at Carolina Elementary School as a teacher's aide, and I actually worked with one of their social workers to really strengthen the Ithaca City School District's mental health curriculum, actually explicitly teaching what mental health and mental illness is. And I mean, we're talking 10-year-old kids, they got it, like they understand the stuff. It's not like it went over their head or like they're too young to be learning about this. So I'm a big advocate for education and just, making people feel comfortable being who they are.
Yeah, where I go to and stuff, this was when I was in middle school. They didn't even like teach on this stuff till it was also combined with drugs and alcohol curriculum. It wasn't even like really touched upon until 8th grade. Until I was like 13. Like they were just like, no, they didn't even bring it up at all in middle school. And the thing is, what they really used wasn't really that like relevant. Like they used 20-year-old PSAs from like this old VHS.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, it was the same exact thing. I don't remember learning about it until 8th grade. And even so, I felt like it was very lackluster. I mean, I literally, as I say, I do a lot of research in order to prepare an introduction and questions for each of these episodes. And I think the 2 episodes I did the most research were for the gun control one, because a lot of it was fact-checking, and the mental health episodes, just really... Because I think the big thing is I didn't know what mental illness was. I wasn't sure, like, is mental illness something everyone goes through? What exactly is it? What are mental illnesses? Like, I had such a bare bone, knowledge base for mental health and these topics, as a high school graduate. So I'm just glad that I had sort of an excuse to research these things, because I'm not sure if not for this, I would have actually gone out of my way and done this research. So, I'm happy kind of for my own ambition, because it led me to this banquet of knowledge,
Oh, it taught you more stuff. It gave you a whole new field you never saw before.
Yeah, and I tell people that if you really want to become an expert on a subject, it's one thing it's one thing to research things, but it's another thing to talk to people, especially people that are more knowledgeable about it than you are. So, I learned things, from reading, Wikipedia and websites that explain mental health, mental illness, but it really gives you another layer of insight and perspective to actually talk to people. So again, I'm just thankful that I had this show to give me sort of that excuse to gain more knowledge, not only for myself, but, for the community.
So there's never been any they've always been quite stable on your show, right? They've always been able to really talk about it and stuff. Like it's never like, you know, there's never been any drama or anything like that throughout the 5-episode run or freakouts or nothing like that.
Well, if there is, I edited it out. No, honestly, no. The only, yeah, you're right. For the most part, everything's been pretty stable.
Pretty good.
The only exception to that, I think, would be the gun control episode, which did get a little bit heated, you know, like a lot of political debates can be. So, I mean, for that episode, because they disagreed very, very strongly when it came to certain gun control policies. You know, it's not like curse words were said or there was anger,
they
but
struggled to find the middle ground.
That's exactly what it was. Like, you know, being the moderator for the political debates, my goal was to bridge those gaps. And, you know, I understand where you're coming from and where you're coming from, but where can we find agreement? So that episode, I think it was just a lot harder to do so. But they were still both very civil.
Oh wow! So no chaos. That's good. Yeah. It's not like Howard Stern when his guest just jumps up from his chair and wrestles him.
No, exactly, no.
On camera.
No, exactly, no.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, you know, and again, I'm just thankful for the kids I have on my show, or teenagers, I should say, not kids, who are comfortable enough to come on my show, because I wouldn't have a show without these brave students.
Are they like 20 years old, or are they just people underneath 18 and stuff? Like what exactly do you define as youth and stuff?
Yeah, so a lot of them actually are from Ithaca, so a lot of them go to Ithaca High School. Yeah, no, I mean, mostly Ithaca High School, early college years, but I actually did have one middle school student appear on one of the mental health episodes. So the ages do range, but it is primarily high school kids.
So there's no people in their early to mid-20s?
Again, like, there were some college students, like first or second year, so I think they were like early 20s.
Oh yeah, let's see, that'd be like, they could be like 20 years old.
Yeah.
Some take a gap year, so I could be 21 too. Yeah.
I mean, I'm 20 years old now, so that counts.
That. So yeah, that counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what made you want to do your find a SUNY school specifically? Like, did you feel like what are you pursuing as a career and stuff right now?
So actually, the SUNY school was my mom's idea, just because you know how high tuition is these days.
Yeah, it's chaos.
Yeah, but you know, I chose SUNY Albany specifically because you know, along with journalism, I'm also interested in just learning more about politics, political science, that whole thing. And what better place, I think, than you know, in the New York State Capitol. And you know, it's funny. I kept joking to people that with all the controversy Governor Cuomo's been under, I could be the person writing an article of his resignation. But unfortunately, someone beat me to that already.
I don't know. Maybe you could be like the next David Frost, who could like interview him in a few years and
maybe
you can see how I don't know if that's possible. I might know yet. You can see how he's doing his current views, his reflection on his presidency. Yeah,
governance to me.
Yeah, because he's the first governor to resign in a long time. And it's a big state like New York, and so it's having the first woman governor. It's in like 5 years it will definitely be. He'll be like 68 by then. It will be possible. Yeah. It could be very interesting.
Well, you know, it's funny because right when COVID started, you know, we would always watch his daily COVID briefings from the Capitol, and I had a dream, I think the first month COVID happened, I dreamt that I met his youngest daughter at SUNY Albany, even though she's graduated college by now, but I dreamt that I had met her, became really close friends, and that she brought me over for dinner, and I got to meet her and her whole family and actually shake hands with the governor. That did not actually happen though.
Yeah. His youngest daughter is like 21 now, right?
I thought she was a college graduate. I could be wrong on that, but I know she's definitely older than me.
Did his kids go to a SUNY school? I'm not sure. They go to like Harvard.
Did they? I don't know. Well, Cuomo's daughters, if you're watching,
he's married. He's married to Kennedy's niece, the president's. He's married to the president's niece.
Cuomo?
Yeah.
No, actually,
Cuomo was divorced.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I don't know that.
Yeah, because you remember, Robert Kennedy?
Yeah.
His daughter Carrie was Cuomo's wife. All their kids they had together.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
RFK had like 11 kids. Yeah.
That's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Well, hey, who knows? I mean, I think my dream at this point would be to intern for the Albany Times-Union. That's the Capital Region's major newspaper. So, we'll just have to see what happens.
So, do you like writing, or you like podcasting better than writing, right? Or do you feel like they're sort of the same? Or?
Making me choose between radio and print. I haven't decided yet. People always ask me, I know you like journalism, but where in the field do you see yourself? I don't know yet. I like so many aspects of it. I love writing, not even interviews specifically. I just like writing in general, but I also love editing audio. Honestly, any environment where you make me interview people and then have like the world see that is where I see myself. But I mean, I haven't narrowed it down yet.
Yeah, maybe you could be like one of those video reporters on CNN, or be like Tom Brokaw or something like that. That could be good.
Maybe.
Hey. Hello.
We could edit this out. Oh man. Because whenever we watch CNN or any of the networks, I try and analyze the correspondence, because I'm like, I actually could see myself doing that. Like what's their script? What important details do they say? How nervous are they? So who knows? That would be cool, though, working for CNN or some large thing.
Yeah. So the stuff you did in middle school also got you into. It got you into podcast. Well, it got you into radio stuff and journalism at the same time. They sort of went end to end.
Well, it's funny. Yeah, you're right. Whenever people ask me, what got you so interested in journalism, my short answer always is
The curiosity, or
good guess. Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
And to explain that. So I was obsessed with pop culture in middle school, like pop music, celebrity drama. Like I was the person who would always come into class saying, "Oh my God, did you hear about Katy Perry?" Like I was that type of kid.
Yeah.
It definitely turned some people off, but I actually gained a following because I was sort of like I was the fun fact of the day guy.
That must have been. Oh boy, that must have been during her roar. I mean, that was like during her height.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why I talked about
Prism. She had the dark hairs and roar, and man, that was like half a decade ago.
I'm happy to meet another Katy Perry. Maybe are you a Katy Perry fan?
I listen to her new albums pretty good. It's amazing how she was able to do so much of it while she was pregnant.
Right.
Yeah, she. I don't know if her and Orlando Bloom are like married. They started some videos, old people.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, I don't know if they're married, but I know that they had a kid.
He's gotta be like 45 now. Orlando, he was in Lord of the Rings 20 years ago.
He was.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings was filmed '99, and it came out like 2 years later, a few years apart. It's like. And then he was in the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, and I don't know anything else, and he sort of like just retired.
Oh yeah.
It's like I haven't heard him from too many other films.
Well, actually, a quick little funny story. You brought up Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So kind of along with my love for pop culture, I've always loved music and musicals. One of my first ever musicals was sort of a parody of Lord of the Rings, but it was a musical called Board of the Rings, where they basically took pop songs and put them in the musical wherever they saw appropriate. And I had never seen Lord of the Rings before, so I hadn't seen it until literally after the show, was over. But we did the whole audition process, and then they called everyone back, and we were in a circle sitting down, and we got the cast list, and I was cast as Frodo. And guess what my reaction was when I was cast as Frodo?
Yeah, did the cast directors think of you as short, or?
I don't think so. But it's funny because my reaction was basically, "Who's Frodo?"
No.
I had no idea. And then they're like, "Oh, he's kind of a big guy on this. He's kind of important."
Oh, he's sort of little.
Oh yeah, well, big figure.
He's a protagonist. He's the like the hairy hipster who starts the journey. Yeah, he. But yeah, that so.
Oh, he has big feet. That's pretty.
Yeah,
big.
That's insane. So you did this in junior high. This acting stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so that was in like 7th grade. Oh, yeah, I didn't finish my Katy Perry thing. So, as I said, middle school, I was obsessed, like literally obsessed, probably to the point where it was a little bit unhealthy. But I was definitely that person who, would come in class and talking about celebrity drama and all that fun stuff. And I actually gained a following of friends who would come to me for pop culture news. And it really came together for me freshman year of high school. And I just had the idea, hey, there's an audience for this, and I love writing, and I check my email on like an hourly basis. So what if I were to launch an email newsletter and call it Fun Fact of the Day? So that's exactly what I did, and I'm really proud because, along with doing literally a daily email news report about any pop culture thing of my choice, a lot of it was advertising it. I actually did the morning announcements every Friday at Ithaca High School, where I would do a pop culture recap to the whole school of like 1,400 students. So I was really happy about that. So, people knew who I was, and, I definitely had a following. And I ended up getting close to 500 people subscribed to my newsletter. So I was very happy about that. And it's funny because that was kind of my first steps into journalism. And from there is actually when I got connected to the Ithaca Voice. I had a friend named Sam who was actually a contributing or a volunteer photographer for them a couple years ago. And he connected me to the managing editor of the Ithaca Voice at that time. And, we started texting and we met up for coffee one day and I wrote my first piece for them. So I actually do credit Katy Perry for kind of launching me on the path for my journalism career.
Yeah.
So
it all connects. So like the 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, exactly. I just think how cool life is. Like, you never know what's gonna trigger something else.
Yeah, I do see that. So you did some acting, right, a few years ago of acting. Besides you also did acting out in New York, right? Like, what got you into that? Yeah.
So, that was years ago. That was like right when we moved to Ithaca. I grew up in New Jersey.
Oh boy, you're from New Jersey? Yeah,
which part? West Orange.
Oh, yeah. I have some family members around that area. That's really interesting.
Okay. Yeah, so, I was born in Manhattan, and then when I was like 1, we moved to the suburbs, West Orange, New Jersey. That's really where I grew up. So we moved to Ithaca the summer between 5th and 6th grade. But I think I did acting in New York like 6th and 7th grade. I think that's what I remember.
Yeah. But you also did it throughout high school. Wait, did you also do it in... I'm trying to remember. They also did it maybe in 9th grade? I'm not sure.
Actually, I think you're right about that. I think I continued through high school.
Oh, so you've been around Ithaca here for a decade? Have you ever... So you've ever visited your hometown? Or you like to come see it every once in a great while?
Every year we try to make an annual trip back to New Jersey, just because I have so many childhood friends from that area, and just so many awesome memories. Unfortunately, due to COVID last year, we weren't able to go, but we actually were able to go 2 weeks ago to West Orange. So that was really nice. It's always good to catch up with childhood friends. Have you always lived in
Lansing? I've always been around here. My mom was in like Cortland up until she was like a little kid but she was like a little, so but that's not been but no, not really. I'm not really, and some of my older siblings, they're adults now. They spent like 11 years here, and then when they were like 11, they moved down to Red Hook. One of them partially came back here for a few months, but no, I don't really know what it's like, But I've had some family members who somewhat went through that.
Yeah, it's a very cool thing because in a way, like, I feel like, you know, puberty years and middle school, high school can be kind of the icky, you know, growing up years.
The middle school, more middle school, I guess.
But like in a way, because you know, whenever I think of, I have 3 childhood friends in particular that I think about, and I still remember, you know, when they were like this tall, really squeaky voices, and all the fun stuff we would do as kids. So in a way, like it's emotional for me to visit them again as we've grown up, because I still remember how innocent we all were, you know, how young.
Yeah,
So.
I've had friends who moved away and stuff were like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me and the people who know around me too that they how much they've grown.
Yeah. And, oh, is that to keep your brain?
Oh boy.
Yeah. And again, I mean, I love what you're doing, you know, with your platform, you know, using it to uplift other people's stories, you know, so I think that's something that we had in common.
I just find somebody and I just talk to them for like half an hour and yeah, there's stuff. Sometimes my headphones go out every once in a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but usually it's pretty good.
I'm curious, you know, what got you so interested in interviewing people?
Yeah. Well, I was watching Crashbox one day.
Okay.
You know what Crashbox is?
I've heard of it. What is that?
It's this HBO show it's children's show. It's like these random. It's like stop motion. It's a brain. It's computer. I don't know. They rush computers into it, and you have these robots, and they just go and they make games, and these it's all claymation. You have to like solve the riddles, and it's like made for second and third graders. I watched it when I was like kindergarten up until like 5th grade. It was short. It lived only like 2 seasons, 52 episodes, but they had all these cool claymation CGI series from 20 years ago, and they used to go in and they used to review it at the end. And one of them had these radio age. This jumping Johnny Jumbo.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, he had this cool voice. He used to sing songs, and he used to sing scrambles or talk about scrambles to try to figure out scramble words, and that words I would scramble quite well, and then would tell you at the end what they were. And it was this cool looking robotic radio host, and I was like, that's cool. I should be like that sometime. And then I remember that. I don't know why. I was just watching Crashbox one time. It was like maybe 7th grade. I was beginning to do more activities. I was already experiencing acting and writing a screenplay that was never used about zombies and stuff. And so I said, how about I like talking to you? I'm good at talking to people. How about a radio? How about I try that out? I get some headphones and I try it. And then my mom was like, you know, you should get some experience here. How about this this old friend of like Kelly Cheatham was on the show, and she told me, and then I did it for my first interview with her, and then I found guests, I emailed them and helped them review it. I eventually got up the YouTube stuff after we learned how to edit, and then it went really well. And I just started doing them weekly, and then I decided to take a little bit of a break. I had a whole bunch of summer stuff going on, like week by week, I had like a new episode. So it was sort of rampant around, but somehow I was able to just pull it off. And even like episodes that weren't the best, I was able to like make it look good with editing, and was able to like get like several hundred views on like the most watched 300, and build up a decent base.
Mm-hmm. Nice. See. Okay, my question is, how did you get the Tommy Tucker legislator? Like, did you email him? Like, that's what I want to know.
Well, the thing is that he got like married a year or two ago, and but before they were like dating. His like stepdaughter was in my grade, and like we had these like community dinners, which we were just at. He often likes to go to theirs, and well, I talked to him. I know him somewhat throughout the years, and his like wife now and my mom were good friends, and they talk to each other, and so I already had like a good substantial connection, and we've already talked briefly throughout the years. So I thought I could get him like on a show to just talk about. It turns out he had like somewhat of a piloting career before he went for legislator, and his like these wild careers, and so I brought him on, and we talked about that, and his uncle was also in one of the Annie productions too, and it was a great talk, and I got to learn a lot from him and his past and how he got to be a legislator, and it was pretty cool.
I love that. And you know, I'm very happy that I'm honored to be the first in-person guest.
Right.
So that means that you started your show during COVID, right?
It was early January. I did my latest interview a few months ago, but back then I had like an iPhone 6, and the person wanted to do it in person, wanted to do it at school and stuff. I told her like my iPhone 6 is terrible. It has 15 gigs. It can barely store photos.
Yeah.
So I told her, how about Zoom? You can just manage something down, and then we eventually did that. But yeah, I will be try to switch and do more in-person interviews now that like basically things are over now, or at least relaxed.
And so I'm curious, did COVID and lockdown, did that have an impact on you wanting to start your show?
Yeah, I got more free time, I guess. I was virtual in my school for about half a year, and the thing is, even the people who went there, it was virtual for them. Like they had this like policy where every case would equal one shutdown for 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
It's built that up, and they did that, and that's how. And eventually, so basically, I did it, and I think probably my parents figured this out, and like they knew I'd probably have to end up quarantining all the time, and it just get annoying. And so I just for a few months I just had a whole bunch of time on my hands to reflect and to do things. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Why don't I make this? It's almost like 9 months ago I started working on it, and by like early January, right when Christmas break was ending, I was able to do it. And it was like an idea started in November, December, and eventually I was able to pull it off.
Woo! So, we can both call ourselves producers, I think.
Yeah, producers. I only edit some of it. All the stuff confuses me. Usually I just get like other people to produce for me. Like, I'm
They don't need to know that though.
I'm decent with like computers, but when just the way the trimming stuff works, I'm like, how does this work? Which stuff do I cut out? Which stuff do I don't cut out? How many copies do I make?
I know, like that's why I say each episode of Youth Voices typically takes me like 3 to 4 months because of the editing. That is the most maybe obnoxious isn't the right word, but I'm a perfectionist because it's my show that airs in the community. Everything has to be perfect, every minute. So if there's too much dead air, if like the volume levels aren't right, that's another thing. Volume levels are they can be all over the place. So editing, I think, definitely takes up the bulk of my time. I get you.
You've ever had any external help, or you have like really techie friends or stuff, or family members or anything like that?
Well, someone did teach me, from WRFI, how to set up the microphones and how to actually get acquainted with Hindenburg. But no, I did like 100% of my editing for all 5 episodes. All 5 hour-long episodes were all me. I did have a little bit of help. Like if I had a small question, I would go, like I had resources. But no, it was me putting the work in every week and just making sure that those episodes could go to air.
Yeah, I'd probably be in the same position as you was and stuff. If I had to deal with that type of stuff too. If I didn't have like any, like if it just all had to be me, all the stuff was put on me, I'd probably have to probably take me a long time too.
But when you're all finished and it's released, isn't it the best feeling in the world?
Yeah, it feels pretty good, especially for you. You got over thousands of views. Yeah, you could get like, who knows, like if you did this stuff on YouTube, you could get like a whole bunch of subscribers.
It's funny because like people have told me, you should start a YouTube channel. You should continue like the Fun Fact a Day type thing. Maybe in college, or maybe when I have more free time. Because I don't know, I'm under the impression that college students do not have a lot of free time.
Like they got that 1 month off in December.
Well,
they had that one where they go home for parents the month in December where they just.
That is true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they just that's somewhat free time movies because you probably spend half the time like vacation wise, and then the other half is like doing whatever.
Right. Well, if I ever do make my own YouTube channel, I'll let you know, and maybe I'll even have you on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
How's that?
That would be quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, I don't think I have any other questions for you unless you wanted to ask me anything else.
Oh, maybe you feel like you'd ever do any acting stuff for college? You feel like you'd ever do any of that? You feel like you consider yourself somewhat of a real actor?
No, I gave up on my acting ambitions a little bit ago. Partially because I don't know if I could meet the level that a lot of my acting friends are at. And, I see myself as a writer, as a journalist. That's sort of the field that I see myself in. Yeah. But, I do love singing. I definitely sing probably too much in the shower. Yeah. So, hey, if that counts, then you can call me a singer.
You should see, I think Britney Spears has starred in some movies. As far as I know, people don't consider some of those films good acting. So, I don't know.
That's true.
I've heard she made some with Zoe Saldana, this road trip film from 20 years ago that was really panned.
Mm-hmm.
But some are good, like Eminem and Barbra Streisand. They've made good movies.
Yeah, I know. My grandma and I talk about J.Lo movies that we love.
Oh yeah, J.Lo started out as sort of like an actress. She didn't become a singer until 4 or 5 years after she became an actress.
Yeah, even Selena Gomez. She started out on Barney, of all things.
Oh yeah.
So.
That is. I do acting too. I've started some of my local productions for a few years now. It's pretty nice.
What have you started?
I've done a Beauty and the Beast.
No way.
It was the Asylum guy. I was sort of new to musicals, so I didn't get anything. No, but I was the Asylum guy, and I got a notable few lines. I had to do it with a broken arm, but I had a cape to protect it.
Nice. Wait, the Asylum guy. You the person
the person who takes Belle's father away and stuff in the car and Monsieur Dark. The guy Gaston makes a meeting with.
Not the Beast, a different character.
No, different. He's an asylum dude.
I don't think was that from the movie or is that a whole other?
It's from the movie, yeah. The Disney film. He has gray hair and is old.
I'm gonna have to look into that then.
Yeah, and then I also did something called Little Red Life in the Hood. I was a pig.
Oh yes.
And I was I had to wear a bunch of weird makeup and that was interesting. And then I was our school did something in person this year. We had a theater presentation. It was a mashup of all the classic musicals. We just wore black masks and did random stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had I was basically the lead backup because we had 25 people. A lot of the stuff was dedicated to the seniors.
Oh yeah. See, I really wish that I got to see High School Musical because that was what IHS was putting on my senior year, but because of COVID it was canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only.
Oh, usually, man, I did this title called Princess and the Pea. It was so on the third night was March 13th. Everybody thought the shutdown would come down next week.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't tell the cast that they were going to shut down and cancel the final Super Saturday show where everybody parties and does stuff. And all the audience learned that they have to go home and quarantine and that they had to stop this. And it was sort of chaotic and and then they didn't want to tell the cast during intermission because it was chaotic and a lot of people I know was there but I wasn't there because I had the flu. I wanted to see it. Mm-hmm. And then the day and then after the show they gave it their all and then everything just became a wreck afterwards. Everybody was just sobbing and really sad.
Yeah. And, I'll never forget the moment I realized COVID was really serious. I remember the last official day of school for us was, I think it was a Friday, And my close friend and I mean, we didn't really take it seriously. We didn't, we never thought it would hit America. We never thought it'd be, a big deal.
Yeah.
And I remember, my dad is also a crossing guard at Belsham Elementary School, which is also in the Ithaca City School District. And he got a call from his advisor that night saying that basically don't come in on Monday. There'll be they're about to announce that for 2 weeks there won't be any school because of the COVID warning. So when that happened, when my dad told me that news, that was the moment I was like, wow, this is really happening.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to react.
The quarantine went from like a 2 week spread just to stop the swamping of the hospitals to and basically in some places until stuff slowed down or until like the vaccine was made.
Yeah.
And most places have stopped for 8-9, but like most places which I know about were still shut down till July, October. And it was really shocking. Maybe not as big for me since I never really was around the city. It was this being in the city was more chaotic, right?
Oh. Well, I mean, to be fair, I was stuck at home the whole time, so I couldn't really...
I don't know. I don't know. Were you around the main street area or the outside suburbs or the neighborhood?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was pretty, I live in the city of Ithaca, so, I do live in kind of a tight community. It was weird, I'll admit, going outside and seeing how dead businesses, the streets were. So that was sort of a surreal feeling. I mean, I recall the first time we actually went grocery shopping, everyone wearing masks, and it felt wrong. Like, we were told that this isn't safe, or obviously safe if we have precautions, but this felt illegal for months now, and to actually be trying to continue our normal life, it just felt so weird, so surreal, as I said. But as it relates to school, COVID actually helped me academically. I know a lot of my friends had different experiences.
So our school just started throwing homework at us after for 1 month they were like, hey, nothing gets graded, nothing. I was like, oh, you either pass or you fail after a month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, my school let us choose a pass-fail option either, but, I don't know, before COVID, I could not do, math work during math class. I felt very restricted, and so COVID actually gave me more free time to just do work at my own pace. Again, I know a lot of my friends, it didn't help them academically. And another thing that I think about when school happened, when I was in school, I was class of 2020, the year COVID hit. And unfortunately, my prom was canceled, and my official graduation ceremony was also canceled. Luckily, IHS, what they did instead for graduation, in lieu of a ceremony, they actually did something at Stewart Park where they had each senior come in their cap and gown attire with their diploma and walk across an actual stage at the park, and they recorded all that, and all that footage was actually used in a virtual graduation ceremony. That live streamed a month later. But I joke to people that the selfish me wants class of 2021 really wanted them to have a prom and graduation, kind of for a selfish reason, so that my class is the one going down in the history books as the unfortunate
Our school
ones.
actually had a normal graduation. They've always done it outside. And last year in 2020, they actually had everybody there in person, just wearing masks and 6 feet apart in the track field.
And how big are the classes in
our school? We have 100 people per grade, so it's we have 350, 400 people.
See, at IHS we have 350 per grade.
Yeah, that's a big amount.
Yeah.
The amount of our school equals the entire grade of yours.
Right. But I don't know. I've always thrived in big environments, but I guess in this case it didn't help me because of the graduation being canceled.
Oh boy.
But we made it through. But I did get really upset. I think I even shed a tear when I came to the realization that I wouldn't get a graduation ceremony. But I actually had a dream. So something about me dreaming about meeting celebrities. With the whole Cuomo thing. But I dreamt also early on with COVID that I became famous somehow years down the line, and I was interviewed by Ellen on her show.
Oh.
And in the dream, you know how celebrities will, banter and ask about their pasts. So in my dream, Ellen asked me how my prom was, and in the dream, I said, "Oh, I was class of 2020," and everyone in the live studio audience went, "Oh." So, but thing is, I feel like really in real life, years down the line, that might actually be the reality.
Yeah, I don't know. Ellen's show is getting canceled now.
Yeah, this was before. I think
before the scandal. Yeah.
Yeah, before that was really
like
publicized.
3 months, probably 3 months before the scandal.
Yeah. Jeez, how come all the celebrities I dream about have to have scandals? It's like,
yeah, it just sort of happens. Sometimes they don't even have much to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could have a scandal like with Demi Lovato over just getting mad about frozen yogurt, and that's a big scandal.
Wait, what?
She was getting mad over some frozen yogurt store not being vegan. I don't know. I haven't checked it out too much.
See, I'm kind of sad because whenever someone tells me a celebrity fun fact that I don't know, I feel bad because that's my realm, Oh. To be fair, I've sort of slipped off the celebrity radar.
Yeah. They say things change. Yeah, you gotta prioritize some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But obsessing over stuff. Sometimes it gets nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Who's your favorite celebrity, by the way, if you have one?
I don't know. Actor-wise, I watch so much stuff. It's hard to determine, but I like Dua Lipa as a singer. She's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I started I heard music at some SNL show a while back,
mm-hmm.
and then the songs are pretty good. They're pretty good music videos too.
Yeah. Well, can you guess who, or at least one of my favorite singers is?
Oh boy.
I talked about her earlier.
I know. It was Katy Perry. I thought I was supposed to guess. I was a guess.
Oh, that was too easy of a hint. Yeah. Jeez. I also think Billie Eilish has been pretty good.
Yeah, I like Billie Eilish. Yeah, I was at school one time and these females. They were all together in this little corner of science, and they were all talking about her blonde hair. She's going blonde. Oh wow! Some said I like her better on the black hair, but oh my god, it's like she's a different person. And I came and I started talking about her. I was like, oh yeah, I know about it. She's pretty good, yeah.
So what's your take? What's your take on Billie Eilish's hair? I mean, that's a hot button issue if you ask me.
I don't know. She's had it for 2 years. She goes to. I feel like at her career, there's so many stylistic change and evolutions that we just should know what to do. It's a pretty interesting. We're like this entire theme of her "Happier Than Ever" album, which is just lighting up and showing her true colors after the struggle that is seen in the previous album.
Yeah,
it's like they're shedding out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen some of her newer music videos, which I actually like a little bit
Your
more.
Power or nothing, was that the one, or Lost Cause? Your Power is pretty good, and there's My Future and NDA and Happier Than Ever.
Mm-hmm. And I actually read that Billie Eilish is a natural blonde, so that obviously she's not a natural green.
Well, it's it's not a natural. I could have sworn I've seen some older pictures of her online, but from 7 years ago. It's I thought it was more darker, but I guess the accuracy scale is somewhat more accurate than green, because I've never met a person with naturally bluish or black greenish hair.
Right. Not yet.
I don't know. Maybe if I can find people who have blue skin like Papa Smurf, they can. Have you heard of that guy, the Papa Smurf?
Of course I have. Actually, I think Katy Perry or some famous pop singer actually.
She voiced Smurfette, but you've never heard of the guy who looked like Papa Smurf?
The guy who looked like Papa Smurf.
Yeah, the guy with real blue skin.
No.
It was old, yeah. It was in Ripley's Believe It or Not. This guy has a pigment issue, and he's blue. He has a white beard. He looks like a version of Papa Smurf.
Where did you say this was?
I was in a Ripley's Believe It or Not. I was at a barbershop 5-6 years ago when I saw this. And it was,
Jeez. I feel bad for the guy.
Man, I feel bad for the guy. It should be cool, you know. You can. It's not like terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the upside to that is, you know, you have something to do for Halloween. You know, nobody can accuse you of not dressing up unless they, you know, they know.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that is sort of interesting.
Yeah. Cool. But yeah, do you have any other questions for me about journalism or anything else we talked about? Because I'm truly an open book.
Oh, you got any favorite stories of yours, or any favorite podcasts?
Ooh. Oh, one of my favorite podcasts, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's called Youth Voices. It's really...
Yeah, I know. You just told me about that. Yeah.
Let's see, stories. You know, it doesn't relate to journalism, but it relates to my silliness. You know, it's funny. I consider, like, I'm very professional in certain settings, but there are others that I consider myself to be not so good at. So it's like, while I am producing radio features, I am also failing in other areas of things. And here's an example. For my 18th birthday, I got to go to American University. They were having a week-long journalism program. And I actually got to go on the flight all by myself, my first ever solo flight. So the ride there was very smooth, you know, one and done. I, you know, met up with everyone, you know, super easy. However, the ride back was a little more bumpy, if you will. Not literally, but my parents had a cab come pick me up from American University on the last day of the program and take me to the airport. The cab was 45 minutes late, and I missed my flight. So my parents were furious, absolutely furious. And I was like, oh no, I'm never gonna get home. Luckily though, it was really convenient. My parents were able to book the next flight to Ithaca, and it was only like an hour later, so I just had to kill an hour of time at the airport. So that was nothing. I was very happy, but I was a little bit tired because, you know, I'd gone through a lot already that day. And so I was in the waiting area, you know, with all my luggage, and I'm like, you know, I have time to kill. I'm here really early, so I'm just gonna rest my eyes for a little bit. And I took a little nap. And the flight was at 3 o'clock. I woke up at 2:55, and when I woke up, nobody was there. I was all alone in the waiting area. And I was like, what? That's weird. It says the flight's at 3 o'clock. So then I go up to the person, you know, at the desk, and I'm like, hey, you know, can I get on my flight? And she says, it's about to leave. You're too late. And that's when I learned the time the flight, like the time it gives to the flight is the time it leaves, not when you have to get on it. So I was not aware of that. I was like, oh, I just boarded at 3 o'clock. But no, you need to board at like 2:30 or something. So I missed the second flight because of my fault. And guess what time the third flight was? To not even Ithaca, New York. The closest we can get after that was Syracuse, which was a couple hours away. But guess what the next closest flight was, or what time that was?
3 o'clock, 3:30, 4?
It was 9 o'clock at night.
Oh boy.
So I had to waste an entire day. I mean, luckily it was a pretty nice, pretty big airport, but I just wasted a whole day. So upset, and my parents were obviously not happy. They were quite vocal about their anger on the phone. But you know, I got through it and I got home okay. But yeah, again, so flight there, flight to DC, easy as pie. Flight back, I don't even want to think about it.
Oh boy, so, yeah, I've spent 7 hours at Phoenix Airport. I was there from like 1, and then I found like some of the flights broke down. Some of them there were different stewards, and we rebooked. But then it turns out the stewards finally got, but our flight was a few hours later. We're stuck in this was during COVID, and then there's like no real dinner places, and like the airport was minimal. Then they had let's see there. Then one of the other airports needed a pilot, and then we waited another half hour. Then we got there near midnight. Then it turns out our baggage got misplaced, and
See, that's never happened to me where my baggage got lost or stolen or anything. That is like my biggest fear, honestly. So like
we were able to recover it though.
okay.
But like, yeah, you know anybody who's had to lose their baggage?
No, luckily not. I mean, I've heard stories about it on the news,
Yeah.
like some awful cases. But
Freddie Mercury had that job where he just threw baggages inside a plane.
oh, really?
Back in the '60s, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was his job before he got into music.
That actually sort of reminds me of a Family Guy episode. I don't know if you watch Family Guy.
I watch Family Guy. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
Well, do you remember the episode where Quagmire has a job as a flight?
Yeah, he's actually a trained pilot. He was in it. He's even in the Navy.
Well,
he's a pilot everywhere.
Well, this episode he was actually fired because Peter, he had to drive Glenn to work, and he didn't have enough gas to get home, so he used the gas from the flight, like from the plane, for the car, thinking that it would make the car fly, and because of that, Quagmire's plane ended up crashing, and he got fired because of that in the episode.
Yeah, Peter should be the one getting fired.
I don't know if there was any way, I don't think it wasn't good. I don't think anyone found out other than Quagmire.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
He's actually like 70 years old.
What was it?
He's actually like 70 something years old.
The voice actor?
No, the Quagmire in the series.
Oh.
He's really old.
Really?
Yeah.
He looks. Oh, okay. He looks
like
younger.
60, 70 something. Yeah.
Interesting. Because I would guess that's how old man Herbert is.
No, Herbert's like 90. He was in World War II.
Oh yeah.
He fought against that Nazi who made puppets.
Oh, I remember that actually.
Oh boy, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I was introduced to Family Guy at quite a young age.
So what did you do at Washington with the journalism stuff?
Yeah, so every year American University hosts this. I forgot the official title is, but basically this week-long journalism program. And what that entails, it's some journalism classes and actual tours of awesome monuments like the Lincoln Memorial, and we actually got to visit the NPR headquarters. We were going to visit the Washington Post headquarters, but unfortunately we were not able to do that for some reason. Yeah. But it was just awesome to speak with real journalists in the field currently, and also interact with other people with the same interest. At SUNY Albany, I'm actually part of a living learning community, which is where you're on the same floor, where you room with people of either your same major or interest. So my LLC, Living Learning Community, is actually for community service. So I was just like, people who do community service generally seem like nice people. So I feel like if I put myself with them, I should be setting myself up for success,
Oh.
So... And I mean, I've already met them through text, and they seem pretty nice. But, and anywhere where I can be with people of similar interests. I mean, even with you, we both have a passion, I'd say, for talking to people and interviewing.
I don't know if what I could do could really be considered journalism, though. I don't really report news or, I don't really, write my stories or my interviews. I'm not really... I'm not super organized. They have one central topic, but they always seem to spin off sooner or later.
I get you. Yeah, I mean, I think to the same degree, I wouldn't really consider Youth Voices I guess the type of journalism people usually think about, because it's more so discussion based rather than news based. I think it's not like the episodes are today Congress passed this law. It's more like this is this person's story. You might relate to it, you might not, but it's really just about telling people stories. And I think that's really kind of the golden nugget that we share.
Oh, the golden nugget.
One of my interviews for an article I did mentioned he used that phrase, and I've used it ever since for stuff.
So does that mean the really great stuff out of the good stuff?
Yeah, pretty much like the essence, I guess, of something. The golden nugget.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a good McDonald's meal.
I was thinking about that. I hope it's not made out of gold, because then it wouldn't be edible.
That would be really expensive. It just would be useless.
Yeah, unless it's gelt.
What's gelt?
It's a Jewish kind of chocolate that's wrapped in this kind of, it looks like golden foil. So like maybe if for these McDonald's nuggets they wrapped it in golden foil, but it was edible. I think maybe I'll pitch that to them or something.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard of that at all.
No, it's not a real thing. I'm saying like we can make it a real thing.
You could call it they could just mix some mustard with make me.
I didn't even think about that. Actually, that'd make more sense actually.
They can mix some mustard and barbecue sauce, and make a dark yellowish thingy, and they call it the gold sauce. I think it'd work better for Burger King though. I don't think McDonald's could really put it off that well. Actually, I could see it better as a Burger King meal than a McDonald's.
Well, it's funny about that. I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but before I was a teacher's aide at Carolina Elementary School, I worked at Burger King. I actually started out in their kitchen. Yeah. You know, I learned how to make all their menu items and not get aggravated at awful orders. Like we had this one woman who pulled up to the drive-thru, and she wanted a Whopper, but with everything on the Whopper in separate bags, or separate containers. So basically, she wanted bread wrapped up and like lettuce, tomato, mayo, pickles, each in separate small containers in a bag. I guess she wanted to do like a make your own or something. So, so that's where I started, and then I moved on to drive-thru, which I really didn't enjoy. Not because I don't like talking to people, but I hated using the monitor because there's like a gazillion. But well, no, like that's the fun part. Like if I can do the customer service aspect, where I would get frustrated, say like, you know, I want the 2 for $5 meal, or I want a Whopper with cheese, yada yada yada, and I literally wouldn't know how to find the button on the monitor because you have to be quick too. I feel so awkward saying, you know, I'm sorry, can you say that again? I don't know where the freaking buttons are. So that was the worst part.
You want 6 number 9s and number 9.
Exactly. Oh geez. So if you want my advice, don't work for
Big
fast
Smoke
food.
is?
What was it?
Big Smoke.
Yeah.
So you've played GTA then? Or you've just heard of the memes?
Yeah, I've heard of the memes.
The memes, especially from the older games, are quite funny.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're probably way more. They're probably sort of like helped define modern comedy, and even like they've been around for like 5-7 years and are still popular.
Oh, nice. No, I mean, when it comes to video games, I mean, I still play Mario and Kirby. I haven't graduated from like my childhood video games, honestly, but you know, I'm okay with that. You know, I grew up with a Wii. I don't know what consoles you have, if any, but I mean, you know, mostly Wii, and then we got a Nintendo Switch. But I mean, I don't like trying new things when it comes to video games. Like I'm good with Mario, Kirby. I have one Sonic game, but I gave it away. That's about it.
I've played like Nintendo. I've played Mario and Smash Bros. Kirby. Yeah, and then I played Crash Bandicoot and then I got Steam and I started playing Among Us and
I never got it.
Geometry Dash, and GTA 4 and 5, all those games, and GTA Online occasionally. They're I don't know, they're creative, and I used to play a whole bunch of Minecraft.
Oh yeah. I've never got into Minecraft. I don't know what it is. I don't like games where you have full creativity. What I like about Mario and Kirby and a lot of Nintendo games is they're very linear. Like you don't have a lot of control over the objective, and I like that. Like I don't know, I've never considered myself to be a very creative person. So especially when it comes to video games, I'm like, tell me where to go, what to do. You know, I don't want any of that stress.
Oh boy.
So, but okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's this question?
You know, when I was at Caroline, you know, my students were, you know, 9-10 years old, and they would always talk about how much they loved Among Us, and we even had like drawings that they could color in, you know, with markers and stuff of the Among Us characters.
That's cute, yeah.
But like, I don't know, that's so weird to me because the game's literally about murder. I don't know. To me, it was weird.
Well, it's about aliens murdering. It's basically a cartoonish version of the film Alien.
That's true, but I don't know. It just weirded me out seeing my 10-year-old kids talking about a game about murder. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
When they were my age, when I was their age, we used to all talk about Five Nights at Freddy's, try to find bootleg versions and play on Chromebooks.
But that's a keep game. Like that's animatronics. That's Freddy.
Yeah,
I guess
the lore's quite violent and disturbing.
That is true.
Some of the later games have blood, or like it's scary.
Oh jeez, I love FNAF though.
Yeah, you played the games, or you just enjoy the YouTube stuff. The games themselves are decent.
Well, I couldn't get. So I did play the first one, but I couldn't get past night 3. But I mean, I've seen like Markiplier's walkthroughs of those, and some other YouTubers I enjoy. They're just fun to react to, I think.
Yeah, they're funny. Yeah. Oh man, I downloaded it on my tablet when I was little, and I got really freaked out by it. It just scared me straight. I used to have nightmares about it, and a whole bunch of stuff.
See, yeah, I really like Freddy, or Freddy Fazbear, his full name, Chica. I also like Slender Man. I don't know if you think do you think one is scarier than the other? I'm not sure if you played.
Boy, I was sort of young for that. The closest thing I remember is when Annoying Orange was saying "skinny, skinny."
Oh my god, I forgot that show existed.
Yeah. I just thought his name was Skinny Guy for a while.
No, I mean it's funny you bring up Annoying Orange. That was one of the shows I would torture my dad with. Because obviously when you have a young kid, you kind of want to make sure you monitor what they're watching. But I would make him watch those shows.
I bought like the first season of the Cartoon Network TV show.
Oh yeah.
And I used to watch it, and it was like my older relatives were like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
Well, like this is like the weird, really weird. This is but yeah. So was it worth taking a gap year? Like what did you do during it?
It was. It really was. At first, I was actually opposed to the idea because I've been very eager, anxious, excited to start college, and I felt that way ever since I started my senior year, actually. And if not for COVID, I would have gone straight to college and not done a gap year. The only reason I did a gap year was mostly because of my mom. She thought it'd be a good idea for me, and it really was a good idea. Not just to spend more time with my parents, but I got to be a teacher's aide. I got to work. So at Caroline, I was a one-to-one aide with an autistic student, and it taught me a lot. Actually, it gave me a lot of insight to what it's like working with, just people of different, of people in a neurodiverse pool, and just learning, what it's really like working in an academic setting, as well as a setting like Burger King. And I also don't think I would have had the time, frankly, to produce the mental health episodes if I had gone straight to college. So in a way, COVID, there were silver linings that helped me kind of further my career passions. So if I could do it again, I would have chosen to do a gap year.
Oh, was it challenging to be an aide and stuff all the time? Do you feel like you were respected enough by the school and the community?
That's a good question. I definitely was the youngest employee at Caroline, but I never got any weird comments or weird eyes. Like I never felt excluded from the Caroline community, so that was really good.
I bet it'd be a little bit. But like, did you feel that I know you probably didn't feel excluded, but like, did you feel like value and respect amongst other students and like staff there?
Yeah, actually, I felt like I was a lot closer to the kids just because my age is closer to theirs. Like, I felt like I could talk to them at a more real, deeper level. I felt like I was given the impression by the kids that they trusted me more. They felt like they can open up to me. I did, though, mostly work with my student. As his aide, I would modify silence for him. I'd be the one really making sure that he is staying on track. But I mean, we have an awesome relationship, and I actually still keep in touch with him and his mom via email, so that I'm really happy about. But I love working with kids. I think journalism for me is definitely my top passion, but my secondary passion is definitely education and working with kids. Actually, during this time, since I'm not a teacher's aide anymore because it's the summertime, I actually have a babysitting gig. So, I'm still working with children, I'm still making them happy, but in a less academic setting. And of course, my history as a camp aide. So really any environment where I'm working with kids, I thrive, because I'm silly, kids are silly, so it just works out.
Did you do an internship, or was it a full-time job at that place?
No, this was a full-time job. I was a salaried district employee. So I mean, it's weird saying that because this was probably I think my most prestigious job. I obviously do a lot of stuff with the local journalism community, but all that is unpaid volunteer work. So this was my first paid, I guess most ambitious job, if you will. It was actually my mom's idea for me to apply for the Ithaca City School District. I was like, oh, I'm not qualified, I'm too young. But they actually took me on because, they saw my drive, they saw my passion, I had good references.
You had to take any training, or did you have to do anything again? I thought you needed like a college degree or something like that.
I did too. To be a teacher, you definitely do. But
yeah, you need like a master's, yeah.
Yeah. No, but I mean, to be an aide, they do not require that sort of training. You have to have a college degree or at least a GED, I'm pretty sure. So that requirement,
So you need to at least graduate high school.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't be like a senior and you'll go up like in between your classes to go help the elementary and stuff.
Yeah, like it's not like they would have taken anyone off the street or anything. There was a formal interview process I went through. I think 2 interviews, and gave them my resume, my documents, and everything. I had to get fingerprinted so they could verify that I'm not a criminal, like hiding underground or something. Which I'm not, by the way, people watching. But yeah, so it was good, and I'll tell you, when I got the phone call, it was such a big relief. So
yeah. With having a real job interview, did you ever deal with job interviews before, or
what was that?
Did you ever have to deal with job interviews before, or was this your first time? Or?
No, so I through the YES program, part of that is they do interview you. I think every year they re-interview you just to kind of gauge your interests and also critique your skills, your interviewing skills, because that's a big part, obviously, of getting jobs in this environment. So yeah, I've definitely dealt with interviews. But what felt weird, actually, was because of my journalism background, I'm so used to being the interviewer opposed to the interviewee. So it was weird how the tables have turned. But in a way, being in that position gives me more confidence when I'm being interviewed. Just because I look at it from the other person's point of view. Like, what are they looking for? What are kind of the social norms that I can play around with? So it really, it's not all that bad for me.
Oh, so you've never had a really stressful, over-the-top job interview then?
Well, actually, I think my most stressful interview was when I applied to Wegmans my sophomore year of high school.
Oh, you applied to Wegmans?
I did, and I didn't get it, unfortunately. I think because I didn't do great on the interview. One of the questions was they asked, they basically asked, what would you like to be paid? And when I was a sophomore, I didn't really have a good sense of money or what the current wages were. So I took a while to answer that. I literally told my interviewee, can you give me a sec to think? And I don't think that was very good. I know they look for people who can think on their feet and are knowledgeable. So at the time, I was just not very prepared for that job. But hey, I'm okay with that.
Did you get the job or no?
No, I didn't get it. Who knows? Maybe I'll apply for Wegmans a later year, but for now I'm going off to college, I'll be busy, and you know what? The Ithaca boys took me, so sorry, Wegmans.
Yeah, the youngest teacher I've ever had to deal with at my school was 23. Now she works at Washington, D.C.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Now she's like married and is like 28 something years old now.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, our school doesn't have too many young employees, but it's shocking to hear that somebody that you're just fresh out of high school, you're able to just go and do this job. Like, how long did you have it for? 6 months?
It was surreal, honestly, how quick it was. I applied to ICSD, I think like 4 or 5 months after graduating. I think what also helped me is I was very close with our superintendent, Dr. Brown. I was actually, along with all the stuff I did at Ithaca High School, I was also an elected representative, a student representative to the Board of Education. Basically how that works is we have student liaisons who attend all the board meetings and sort of act as representatives for the student body, voicing student concerns to the board and bring board news back to the student body. So I was actually elected by the student body to be one of our 4 student representatives to the board. And through that opportunity, I got to interact with Dr. Brown a lot and really get comfortable at the board meetings and with the board members. And I actually had Dr. Brown write me a letter of recommendation for this job. So, well, it wasn't for the job specifically, but I had his letter on record. I used him as a reference. So I think that probably helped in applying.
Yeah, that's a pretty good rest. It's a pretty good reference. I guess I didn't realize references can really help you boost.
Yeah, I swear, a lot of the being successful in this industry, or I think any industry, is networking. Obviously work ethic is important and, who you are, but I think the other half is truly who you know.
LinkedIn's pretty good with networking, you can just connect with people on there and really easy.
I actually don't have I feel like I should get a LinkedIn.
Yeah, you could have a cool career there, Yeah, I've known people who I've seen people on there. It's they have it's pretty cool interface. It's been around for 20-something years.
Oh yeah.
It just helps people with jobs connect with other people with jobs, and you can filter stuff and see people's profiles. It's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, see, a lot of my friends have a LinkedIn. I don't know. I just haven't started one yet. But I do have my own muckrack account on, because I'm a WR5 journalist, so that I take a lot of pride in.
Oh, I thought it was muckraking, not muckrack.
It might be. I'm not positive.
Oh.
Something.
Oh,
I have an account.
I'm not really sure. I've heard that term somewhere when we were learning about Upton Sinclair in 8th grade.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, speaking of careers and, kind of later down the line, where do you see yourself? I mean, in terms of a career?
Oh boy, I really like art. I really have these ideas for films and writing stuff. I also like acting too. That's nice. I also can draw well. I've drawn a lot of comics and really good at illustrations. I have all these ideas flowing through my head. I feel like I could either continue doing what I'm doing right now, or be a writer or director, or being an actor, or at least have some sort of association with that business.
Nice.
Maybe if somehow that doesn't pan out, I could at least be a talent manager, or maybe a cook. That could work out too. I'm decent at cooking.
Okay, I think it's awesome to have a wide variety of interests, because I know some people who are like, I want to be a model or I want to be a superstar, and they don't have a backup plan. It's like you need a backup plan or other interests, because if that doesn't work out, what are you gonna do with yourself? So I think that's awesome.
People have told me contradicting things. They either tell me the writing career will be more successful, or the drawing career and illustration would be more successful. I've just gotten a whole bunch of divided response, and I'm not fully sure what to do yet.
Hey, that's okay. Whatever works out, works out.
No.
And so you're going into 11th grade this year.
I'm going into 10th grade actually.
Oh, okay.
I sure hope I won't have to spend half of my high school doing what COVID. Who knows what will happen?
I can't even imagine. So you were
I was almost finished with 8th grade when the lockdown hit, and I came back 2 days a week in February. Then everybody went almost everybody, 2% of our grade, 2-3 people in our grade were all went back. Everybody went back full time. Now there'll be no virtual people next year, and things are still. Then in the last 2 weeks ago, things were outside normal for the last 2 weeks. That was about it. Yeah.
See, in a way, I feel like I'm in a similar boat, because you started high school during this very strange time, and I'm starting college during this time. Yeah. I'm just thankful that it didn't hit my first year of college. I felt like I feel like that would be even worse than the situation that I was in.
I've had family members who had to go through that. Yeah. It was a little bit chaotic, but they were able to pull it through.
Yeah. So how you like in high school so far?
Oh boy, it's a pretty good. We got a good high school. We have a great principal. We have a great staff. I feel like our principal's pretty cool. We help out. We're pretty we help raise awareness about sexual assault, and we have these pep rallies, and we have these nice yearbooks, and we have all these cool programs and sports, and we have some passionate students, and there's not too much bullying, and that's good too with our school, and even got a blue ribbon for if you know what that is.
That's breast cancer awareness.
No, that's, I
that's
don't think our entire school would like get something for breast cancer awareness.
Wait,
it's something. I think I'm pretty sure it's something against bullying, but I'm not sure.
I think you're right. Yeah. Case.
Yeah, and they've also been good with communication with our students and have all these cool setting out for future stuff, all this planning. You have to do your own classes. You know, these link crew where you can like serve as mentors and stuff. And
we have that too.
11th and 12th grade, yeah. And I have good study halls. I mingle in with like a bunch of seniors and older people, and I get to talk to them. There's one guy I talked to. He's gonna play college football out west.
Oh.
Yeah, he got in. He actually got a scholarship.
That's so.
Yeah, and I don't know if we'll make. I don't know if we'll make it to the NFL. I have no clue.
Were you ever into sports at all? I mean, I literally did 1 week of track in 8th grade and quit because I kept forgetting my water.
I did swim team, but I struggled with diving. But I mean to get that back on track. I don't know. There was like swim team was earlier this year. They didn't do much. As far as I know, they just went against each other.
Oh yeah.
And half the time it was just all shut down. So there was like, it was already a short season of like 10 weeks, and then it was like a 5-something week season. It was sort of crazy. Like a whole bunch of our sports didn't even start till March 20th. It was sort of crazy.
Yeah.
It was one. It was interesting, you know. Then when things went back full time, all the sports just exploded. Like they had these track. Usually there's 20 people on the varsity team. Now there's 60, even 60 for the modified, and that's only 2 grades, and they're usually like 20 each. And it was like, so you have like 60 for the varsity, 60 for the wait no. Yeah, and it was. There was like, so it was big, really big this year, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, you know, I don't want the editing to be too long. I don't know how long the...
No, it doesn't take that long.
Okay.
It doesn't, it's not like 6 months in the making. It's not like a special film or something like that. Maybe if it was a special film I would, but...
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, nice talking to you. I was interested in hearing your story, your journey, what you plan to do with your future. And ask me, I've never really had too many people ask about my stuff. I was really interested in hearing your experience and stuff for the years and what you plan for the future and what you've had to deal with and challenges and how you overcame them and guidance. And thanks for being on here today.
Of course. Thank you for providing the opportunity.
On this supposedly cursed episode. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. Man, it's not that bad of it. Not that cursed. Not too many crazy noises.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for talking.
Same to you.